Happy Saturday, Sphene Universe. This is Professor Tommy Halstead, Coach T, coming to you with our fourth recap video for decision number four. We're on to our final fifth decision this coming week, and this will be a short recap. Traditionally, we get less and less feedback because you're doing a lot better and you're understanding us a lot more, and we're trying to just give you a lot of data, especially for your final report coming up in a couple of weeks and that presentation. If you've been recording any of your Zoom meetings, hang on to some of those recordings. You can put those into your final presentation. If you haven't been, you can still use a lot of the slides that I'm giving you here. Just make screenshots. Okay, we'll share our screen. Here we go to our first kind of a snapshot of what happened this past period. We'll see. I can throw some of these up on the after the edit, but you will see compared to last time, especially looking at image for decision four versus decision three. The you can see that yellow team in the previous decision, red team was very tiny here down here. Blue team was about at the same place. Yellow was uh, yellow was next and green was top, way up here. So it was a step ladder. What happened, you can see with the numbers in terms of yellow here. Take a look at revenue, and we'll see price and image in a second. But you can see that it's not just yellow created and maintained a flywheel here with their operating leverage. And we'll look more at operating leverage in just a second, just to give you an idea for your future real life businesses and sims, but also for the fifth decision, how you can take a look at operating leverage. But it's not just they created a flywheel, but they also cannibalized a little bit, not cannibalized their own line, but actually took market share from green there, and a little bit from blue. But you'll see also that red also gained market share. So the in our rankings where it was let's go to the rankings and I'll just remember this and I can put this up in the edit also, but you can see in each line here how compared to our past decision three, red maintained about the same, blue dropped a little bit. Yellow is about the same, but a little more positive in low cost. And family's always been a problem for red and yellow, but it's a lot less in yellow. Yellow improved in family. Red is about the same, but red also did good in eco, surprisingly. It's hard to do good in eco. And so did blue. Blue improved in eco. Yellow's improved a little bit, and green jumped into the positive. So everybody can be happy about eco. It's a tough line. But what happens as we get to the end of the sim here is that if you've invested a lot in family and in image, they're growers because of the investment. You created demand. It's derived demand, not just basic demand from your investments and competing in that area. Now, the growth slows because they're your star and your cash cow, but your question mark and your dog, eco and low cost, have the highest growth. You'll see in this in the past slides where it says what are the growers, 2%, 8%, -5, -10 as you get towards the last decision. So these two tough things that have been very hard from the beginning ended up very positive for all the teams, which is amazing. It's very hard to figure out the leverage and the capex and the operating ratios of those two because of consumption and the other harder things that really drive capex. So we're going to need to jump into each of the lines now and see those numbers, but traditionally we also look at the standings. So we'll see a very final one this Friday, or Friday, yeah, this next Friday, where we do our fifth and final decision. You can see clearly here that in the four periods before, that it was green, blue, yellow, and red, and that and green maintained that through the second, where they had maintained the number one position, although red and blue switched places. Yellow is still on the bottom. Then in the last time there was a double switch over, but we had the two competing in the middle. Remember, it was is it going to be green or is it going to be blue? Kind of swapping places, and then we also how is yellow going to do compared to red? Because there was a divide between those two, and what happened is yellow made some great decisions, especially in image, also improved in their in low cost. And actually, family was still a problem for them as in for red, but uh, yellow got into the positive on low cost and even did well in eco. So everybody's done fantastic in terms of those two tough lines. So it's still very neck and neck. You'll see with the numbers there. Congratulations, green and blue. You're also very still strong. And Red's had a tough time sine curve. Some of this is relates to both the choices that are made, and you probably won't see this because it's just a little Coach T here. But this is a book called Capital Allocation, and I put a little access, capital access and allocation, because those are the decisions you're making. It's got to do with financial leverage, of course, in terms of your loans, and everyone's done great on cash, done great on loans. In fact, Red has been too conservative a little bit, but you'll see that in their ARE and their ROSE. They've also run a financially very strong company. So Red has been more conservative in borrowing money, and so the financial leverage is lower, but they've done well in operating leverage. But our consistent winner, the blue and the green teams have been very consistent in their operating leverage, which we'll take a look at in just a second. And that's really helped with their contribution margins. And we'll take a little look at those ratios. But in order to help you with decision five, now what happens with decision five, this is very, very different. I'm going to give a link in Halo to the video. There's Paul and I, Dr. Paul Waterman, and I do a lot of, he's our course lead. We have teaches tons of ground schools. We have lots of videos we did together, as you've probably seen on the Model Sim Professor, our channel on YouTube. I'll have a link there because there's a very important one that says before decision five. Now, if you're all busy and you don't want to watch an hour-long video about decision five, I'll timestamp it to towards the end, like if it's 60 minutes, probably about 45, 48 or something. And towards the end, there's the big secret revealed, and you'll see that it's explained in detail. What it is that in every one of these inventory, there's no cannibalization in this. If you lose the orders, you lose them. You don't, and it doesn't take them away from another line either. But inventory has always been something that you had the old inventory, you've had to move it, and it had the old characteristics that you had done in the slider. So you're moving something that's different because you've got old inventory on your lot, and not everybody wants it. Everybody wants some of the newer stuff. So the engineering decisions change that. It's very subtle in terms of older product compared to new. That's the same thing with every product, even if it's software. You might have a previous release and you're trying to transition that and scale it, and then you're lowering the price a little to move it because it doesn't have all the features. Come Decision 5, this next one we're going to make, the secret sauce, and you'll see it on the video if you watch it, is that the inventory takes on whatever you do in this period. So if you change to some good thing or bad things, you're not being penalized as much with CAPS, which is why the last thing you can jump up to first if you're not careful, and to first hang on to your hats because you may drop down if you don't see this happening. You don't have to do as much. It's a lot easier decision when you make those right decisions where you see what you need and you follow that light white line. We're not even going to do the white lines today. You're fantastic on it. Everybody's a close match on, they know what the customers want now. But when you do make those tweaking decisions, realize that your inventory will take on those cab characteristics. So everything will be updated only for this decision, number one. So you can really move that inventory with some without investing a lot more capex. You can keep it there and it'll take on the beautiful characteristics you did. Now, if you messed up a little, change that a little, it'll change your inventory too. So you get a double whammy. The other thing is you don't have to worry about plant capacity doing a whole lot of stuff for next period. Now, these are a year apart, these periods. There is no sixth period in this class. So you don't have to worry too much about, make it so they can move it in this period, but don't try to plan for the next period when it takes, loans, capacity, they all take a period to happen. So don't worry about that because there's not going to be a sixth period. So decision five is a lot easier, but you can just kind of leave it at this, meet a little bit. You're all busy and say, okay, it's not too bad. We can tweak, 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 and then watch what happens. Or you can say, hey, let's watch Coach T's video about what that secret is. And maybe if we've been dragging along kind of through the thing, maybe we can hop and make this happen. The other factor is um, team unity is fantastic. Peer reviews help that a lot. We had several students, we don't shame people, but we had several students who had a lot of trouble showing up for the teams. I had to send out, I'm forced the faculty police to see this to say, hey, you're not going to make it in this class. And we've had to do that and say, please, please, please join your teams. Some folks just, were uh, driving on a long haul and jumped on with their cell phone, still didn't contribute a lot, but everybody was been honest on the peer reviews. And I have known throughout the land for like loving to give all my teams ace when they're really hanging together. And the only thing that can back that up is if your peers say, sorry, this person didn't really contribute. We had a team where one team, we're not going to get into all kinds of names and stuff, where two people did the lion's share of the work. And uh, I try to protect my validators, but to be honest with you, I've had 7 teams with 7 people, 49 students, massive, massive. And I've also had one universe with only 6 students. We had 3 teams of two partners. I had to join all the 3 meetings because how can you do this in with only 6 people in the whole class? Well, that happens once in a while, especially in the summer, where people it's a capstone class. Some people are graduating and they can't graduate without it. And they're saying, Coach T, do us a favor. Could you please do this really small and still do the sim? It's very, very difficult because everybody has the burden of taking 2 card lines each. Uh, Coach has got his nose sticking into your business all the time. Now, you've done a great job on everyone on the texts, and I watch and I'm post for the next class. I always post all the sim texts on our site because you see the growth and development of the texting. And please keep that up. I try to jump in once in a while. It's a real critical question, but I try to also, you're all CEOs, business managers, and in this particular type of teaching where it's remote and I have MBA students also. The what happens is it's working adults, people that have a lot of experience in real businesses. So the sim really helps. And remember, this is towards the end of the class here, and if you need recommendations, the policies kind of have to wait till the end of the sim to give those to you, just to see that you all did okay. But still, that I will give letters of recommendation. I'll give references, and it's all automated. I've done many of these. I did a whole bunch recently where some students, even from 2 and 3 years ago, are changing jobs, and they're saying, "Hey, coach, remember me? Could you do this?" And you get on a portal. It's like Amazon, and you're answering all these questions. How long have you known? Rate the people. It's all automated. AI is like taking it all over. So let's jump in and do very quickly the business lines. And remember, these are mostly for your final reports because decision 5 is much different. In fact, there's sometimes we don't even do recaps for decision 4 because 5 is so much different. We just show the other video. But because everyone did so well on this, and it's been a very unusual universe in terms of improvement and really starting to understand that, we'll, of course, look at our usual lost orders over inventory, and then also look at the individual business lines. So let's go back to this. Okay, we saw the overall. Let's just take snapshots of each one. We'll jump into low cost. We can see what's going on with yellow here in low cost. And I'm focusing on yellow versus image because of the change. But you can see some risk was taken on the price. Red did great in low cost, and you can see that they lowered the price, but not so much that they destroy. And you'll see that in operating leverage, what happens when you lower price if you have operating leverage. I'm going to do a quick little tutorial on that, optional if you want to watch it. But it'll help you how to crunch your numbers for 5 and also going forward in the future. But we look at price and then we look at what is the effect on revenue in terms of if you lower your price, how does your revenue do? Much better. Red did really well in low cost. Everyone really did well in low cost. So there's no big flags. Yellow took a risk and they were the third there because they did a higher price. And what happened with their revenue? Let's see. Yeah, revenue was hit too. So that's a story in low cost. Let's take a look at family. Family red had a bit of a problem in family, didn't they? Let's see. Well, yellow took a chance on family, and did red do a little better? Yeah, family was red and yellow both had problems. Where are the price points there? Yeah, well, see, yeah, blue and green are competing on the same price, which makes sense because they did that last time too. And it's not a fantastic amount of EBIT, but we've got a loss over inventory problem as we've had in the past with family. which the operating leverage, because of the CapEx and family, there's a few things on the white line that were missed, as well as supply and demand, and that affected our operating leverage, which is a story. And it wasn't as high as it could be when you were above break even. So take a look at Eco. Eco, everybody did really well. Nobody was underwater, right? No. Yeah, green was a tiny bit. Let's see what the price is for green here compared to everybody else. Does yellow have a higher price too? Ah, yeah. Okay. Well, we can see the price effects of revenue here with it's amazing this universe has had a lot of price competition more a lot of there's co-opetition where it's like let's not lower the price too much or raise it too much in terms of raising it to get more EBIT, lowering it to but you've been watching this universe has really been watching their EBIT, which is fantastic because that's why everyone has done so well. And from the starting point of just being completely underwater in EBIT, you've ended up with records. Fantastic. All four teams, even though we have to have a one, two, three, and four. And you'll see that with each of the 80 points and then the peer reviews, I'll give if the team's really hanging together and everybody's doing, I'm not going to penalize anyone. It's someone will get an 80, somebody got a 79, 75, maybe a 72 or 70. That's still in the B plus A minus range, even for a last team that really crashed and burned. And we have to differentiate according to that, but there's a whole formula there that includes, I add back a lot of points for team spirit. So when I'm seeing these texts and everybody's working really hard, asking questions, you're not going to get penalized because of the way of the world. There's some random forces that you didn't see coming in terms of gas prices or something. Okay, now this is very interesting. This is where we had some cannibalization. Not I keep calling it cannibalization. It's some market share stealing from yellow and green. Let's look at yellow and green here in terms of the price. Yellow really took a chance on price, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yellow is like our leader in price. So they made a conscious decision to let's do profitable revenue, but their features were so good and their market share was so high that they built a flywheel. And this is how you build a flywheel with operating leverage, and we'll go over that in a second. But this is just again to take a screenshot. We can take a look at what was our plant capacity. We don't have to worry about next period this time with four, but this will help you on your final report to look at what happened on lots order inventory. I'm not going to do white lines, so this isn't too long. Let's jump over to our lost orders over inventory and see how that has affected, because the white lines are all perfect already now. Okay, you'll remember how we all started this sim where it was all over the place. You couldn't even see zero down here. This is what we say at the beginning of every one of these sims. By the time you get to this end of this, you'll really get this. Um, Here's our zero line that's kind of shooting right across here. Look at just the spread compared to the variability here and the variance compared to where it's at now. All the teams have really got this down. I mean, Yellow's got a little bit of uh, um, building inventory, but everybody is positive, even in low cost. That zero line, everybody has matched their supply and demand fantastically. Family's not that story. We still have a little problem in the family, but everybody else has got positive eco and everything else, even. So this is a great, you can see a great trend here, what has happened with all this variability, and then our standard deviation has tightened up and dropped in where we've got a nice little group here. And the difference between like noise and bias is that if it's noisy, it's spread all over the place. If it's biased, it might be all grouped together, but to the right of the target. So we've gotten rid of the noise and the bias here. Family, let's see that. Family was a little bit of a problem here. So, because we still had some problems with red and green. Red is done. Well, here's the zero down here. So everybody kind of yellow overcorrected here. Red is going in the right direction, but you can still see yellow and red where they both were underwater in family and blue and green weren't. Just look at the zero line. So this is kind of the secret to the sim that even the developers don't want to be talked about too much because if you really monitor your orders over inventory and you tie that CapEx into making the amount of cars you need in each line, you're going to do great. And you'll see that in many other fields, whatever fields you're going to, even if you're selling real estate, when you're looking at inventory and what are lots and all that, it's just really important on how many people you're putting on the ground. That's, even if it's a service business and it's sales, should we increase the size of our sales force or should we get AI involved or all those things? That's again, capital expenditures and how are you going to meet your demand with supply. Eco, everybody did fantastically in. And zeros down here, look at this. Again, when you look at the progress of this sim and everybody making their decisions on their plant capacity, and I'm seeing your discussions like, wow, it won't let me go over 48 and I wanted to do 52. The sim will stop you at a certain point in some of these decisions because you don't have the money to do it, or you have to re-engineer and then re-capex and then reprice and then everything else to get it to do those extra 5 units. But everybody worked within the bands, and this is very unusual to tell you of hundreds and hundreds of sims and years to see everybody this close in eco is fantastic. You've really made eco a great line. Image, of course, is our profit maker all the time, and yet it's completely images, totally variable in terms of what it takes to make it. You can each take a part of the market share and engineer a little bit different kind. You can have a Corvette and a Ferrari and a Jaguar, and yet you can still all do very good in terms of profit. But let's see, where's our zero line here and see. On our zero line, it looks like green and yellow. Well, blue did well, okay, too, but blue, it looks like blue is building some inventory, oh, wow. Blue, you can do some really cool stuff. Oh, look at green. Green, oh, green. This is where the green and yellow thing kind of happened of building inventory with green on image and why they were kind of taken over with market share and also by yellow here. But this is a great opportunity for green because you have all this inventory for decision five. If you watch that video, about what can you do with the inventory for decision five if you built some up. So you can really come back and image and easily reclaim first place, but blue is still right there where they need to be. So blue is our leader, even though yellow jump did fantastic. And red, you built some inventory, but again, red, you have a real chance here to look at how close you were to zero. All of a sudden, a couple of decisions, you jumped up here. This is a good chance. While you have these inventory quote problems, you can work with them in decision five because it'll take on those characteristics and you don't have to over engineer. You can drop it, get your supply will drop down naturally by just doing the right things with your price and in demand. So now, okay, that's it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking time to watch this recap. I hope those slides are good for you. I'm going to post some operating leverage, our little quiz on operating leverage for extra credit on Halo. I'll be posting some slides on that come Monday to help you before decision five and looking at how has your operating leverage. And this is really a seed to grow a little tree on your final reports because if you really remember what the decisions you did in the context of operating leverage, and I'll put those slides in Halo as kind of an extra credit, but also a help. Decision five is a lot easier, so you can take a little more time to say, financial leverage is one thing, and I should bring our book, Capital Allocation again. Whoops, there we got it. Access and allocation. That's the decisions you've been making. How do we allocate capital and how does it work? And then how does that help us with access? Because when your ROCE goes up, your access to capital goes up at a lower price. So thank you so much. It's been great. This will be our last recap video because after decision five, the deal is done. And remember, I'll be posting a link to the video for decision five also. See you in Halo.